Good morning. Morning, y'all. Okay, it's Friday morning, and I was laying in bed. I was getting up. I I was working on getting up. Y'all pray for me because I go back to work in 3, 4 days. Ooh, praise God. I've been thankful to be off. Let me know where you're chiming in from. It's always good to hear from you guys to know where you're chiming in from. But it's Friday, and I wanted to give you a life lesson early in the morning. And I told God before, I said, God, I don't want my story of being mistreated as a child or relationships to ever be my platform. God, of course, laughs at me, and he does what he wants. And when you've submitted to the Lord, you just allow him to lead and guide your life whichever way he chooses. So I was laying in bed this morning. I'd gotten an email very early in the morning, and most of you know that I have a small side business. Let me speak big side business because it has grown over the years, but I have a small side business. I have a big, see how easy it is to keep repeating the things, even though that's not God's plan for your life. I have a side business. I do YouTube and social media. And from time to time, I get brand deals. Well, just this year, I have gotten so many more deals. Well, good morning. Prayers for your dialysis. Good morning, lovely. Hey, how are you? Good morning, Miss Barbara. I'm so glad you're here. Um, I this year I've gotten more brand deals than I have ever had in the past, probably in all the years put together, and we still have some months left to go in this year. But at the end of last year, I just began to put my plan together and pray and ask God. I said, "Okay, God, bring some further income into my, into our household for myself and my children." And God in his faithfulness has done that. He's allowed us to work with different brands. He's allowed us to work with national brands. He's allowed us to work with no names. And all of that works however it works, right? We review the deal and we determine if that's something we want to invest our time in, or if it's something that is going to be too time consuming, or maybe the deal has not been, it's just not best for me. One of the things I've noticed in social media is that depending on who you are and what kind of channel you have, you'll see in the top of videos, it'll say, "Thank you so much to so and so for sponsoring this video." Now, that means that that company has offered compensation for your review. I tend to stay away from those because I feel like I have to say I like the product because they paid me to say it. I'd prefer to give you an open and honest review to say, yes, this is something I would spend my money on if the company had not sent it to me. However, as I move along, excuse me, in business, what I have to understand is there are times, a lot of times, when I should be getting compensated for the work that I put out. So, long story short, I had a company reach out to me probably about 3, 4 days ago. And this is a national company. Now, everybody knows about this company. Please take her away. Everybody knows about this company. Mr. Jerome is here, my yard guy. And does not like when Mr. Jerome shows up. Morning. Not anything. I'm just getting started. So you're here at the right time. Mama. Very good. Take her with Jackson. That way she won't be by herself. Yep. Go. Or just take her in here. It's fine. I apologize, y'all. It's early and Mama is not having it. So I should be compensated for my time. And then my questions become, why are they being compensated, but I'm not being compensated? It's not even been a consideration, because they'll start off the review, the letter with, "This is a non-paid partnership." Well, at this point of the game, I am past non-paid partnerships for the general most part. only because it's my time. I don't want you to pay me to say I like your product, but I do want you to value the time that I'm putting in. The same with people that I've been helping for years and years and years and years and years and years and years. When you're talking about finances and you still have not made any movements in your finances, you don't value my time. My time now costs money. It just does. You're either going to get on with this free help, or you're going to pay somebody else. You would pay somebody else to do it, but not Shakima. So I got the review, and this company was very above board. They said, would you send me your rate? So I have a rate sheet. We just created that this year. Well, we created it at the end of last year, going into this year, because I needed to make sure that I had all of my information when those deals would come in. I prayed for them to come. So then you have to be prepared when they do. So I sent my rate sheet, and listen, you're a nationally known company, meaning everybody in the world knows who you are. So I send my rates out. I don't think they're overly exorbitant, not for anything I do over here. When I saw some lady, she had a $6,000 sponsorship. I wasn't anywhere near that. Couldn't have touched it. Wasn't even in the vicinity. I'm over here down there, right? Just for my little time. Well, they sent back an offer. They said, well, we just feel like that's a little much. How about we give you this much? So it was a lower amount by a lot. And we'll send you this much in free products. Well, here's where I live right now. My time is still very valuable. So I'm thinking, okay, let me see, that I can get name clout. I can, get this national brand, and then maybe that would help push me. But I've done the national brand for them before, and it's not pushed it anywhere, right? Where we are is because of the Lord. So I counter offer. I said, well, how about this? I'll agree to this amount, but instead of just YouTube, I will put you on all of my platforms. So that's 4 platforms. That's almost 200,000+ people potentially. So they sent me back this morning very early. They said, well, our main focus right now is YouTube, and we can't change our offer. We'll let you know about further partnerships. In that moment, I started to think, okay, Shakima, you could do it. It's really not a problem, girl. They at least gonna pay you. Surely you can, do it for this small amount of money. And the Lord spoke to me. He said, do not compromise your standard. Do not lower your expectation. Do not, because I don't care who they are. They are a nationally known company. They can give you what you asked for and not even miss it. They won't even miss it in their general waste money fund. That ain't even coffee for the day for this particular brand. And I was like, okay, God, but what are you saying? And he said, it's just like this in relationships. You'll have people that will try to present to you exactly who they are. And they'll say, oh, they'll show you all the glitz and all the glam. But when it comes to you, they don't want to give you the best of themselves. They want to give you just enough to keep you hanging on, just enough to dangle you. But for somebody else, they going all in. They going in for dinners. They going in for coffee. They going in for flowers. They going in for calling all day. They texting. They doing all the stuff. But for you, because they know that you have not maybe received that much attention, and they are somebody, and now they are deeming to give you just a little piece of their attention, that you're going to settle for less. And God said, do not settle for less than what you are worth. And that's not just in product. That's in every situation. That's in every relationship. If you're with somebody and they're giving you 10%, but they giving her 90, no, player, I am not. And God said, don't be so quick to accept somebody's leftovers or their scraps. I'm not a leftover or scrap kind of person over here. I'm a big girl. Big girls need full meals. So don't come over here talking about you got this little kitty meal for me, and that's supposed to satisfy, satiate, or whatever. It doesn't. Here's what I'm going to do in my life and what I've this, determined to do based on a lot of things that God has been showing me, telling me. Nothing less than God's best for this household. Nothing less than God's best for his best girl. I'm God's best girl. How in the world am I going to allow you to come over here and treat me some type of way? You are not allowed to come over here and give me your leftovers. Now, I don't mind eating a leftover. It's because I ate the meal the day before. I can have leftovers, but it's after I've had the full meal. So that means, especially in relationships, I'll take you at your not greatest as long as I was able to have you at your greatest. And when you get back to your greatest, you still willing to give it to me. And I was like, really, God? I said, but God, it doesn't really, really. By the time I film a video, depending on what video it is, I maybe put an hour-ish into the video. Then there's another hour-ish, maybe more into editing. Once you add in all the clips and the music and you got to take out this and the dog is barking and the lawnmower is going. So you got to edit out all of that. I was like, no, Shakima, you don't see how your time adds up. And as your time adds up and you take less and less from a person, well, there's really no value being added to your time. Do I monetize or do I put time a money limit on time? Mine. Not telling you what to do, but I'm telling you that I value me enough to not waste time, because if I were important enough to you, you would invest both time and money. Any man that's trying to take a woman out, he is going all out. They start with dinner first because dinner is the most expensive meal. Dinner can tell you where he's coming from, maybe how much money he has, depending on where he takes you. He's putting on his finery. He's got his best cologne. He's pulling out all the stuff. He drives his good car for dinner. So I've just decided, you know what? I'm not doing that anymore. You can meet me for coffee. I can do coffee with you before I can determine if I even have time for dinner, because I'm going to find out at coffee what you have to offer. And I don't care who knows you. I don't care who you've been out with before. None of that is relevant to the time we're trying to spend together. But I'm not going to accept less than your best at coffee than I would get at dinner. I need you to be the same all the way around. And I need you to honor me or think of me so much that you're going to give me your best offer out the gate. Why do I have to even come back and counter offer you? I remember doing a perfume video. I was doing a perfume review. And they were like, oh, we'll send you free perfume. Well, there was another YouTuber that I watch, and every one of her videos, and she only gave them, she gave them maybe a minute or two. I gave them a full dedicated 20-minute video on this and getting ready with me. And she was paid, and I was not. And I started leaning my head over, and I'm like, wait a doggone minute. And then there's another lady that I watch, and every video she does is sponsored. I'd like to thank so-and-so for sponsoring this video. And I thought, God, she charges a lot of money. She charges for her time. And the people who value her time are willing to pay. And that's just how it goes. So who's in your world? Who's in your atmosphere? Who is valuing or devaluing your time? Is it costing you money to spend with them? Or is it costing them equitable time and money? I'm not saying you have to give it all to me, because remember, when that business offered me their compensation, I then have to in turn give them my time to shoot the video, edit the video, put the video to them. Then if they want corrections or if they want redos, you got to take this out, add this in. It's a lot to do a sponsored video. So I'm giving just as much in the area of my time as they are giving in the area of their compensation. All life's relationships should be like that. God doesn't give me the less of himself. He gives me everything he has. And he has from the very beginning. When he gave his only son that I would have eternal life, everything he had that was worth any value, he gave to me. So why would I look at that example and then take your less example? That's not the life I live over here. I live very dedicated and submitted to the one who gives me everything without me even having to ask. He's like, okay, what's very good for Shakima this morning? Well, her grass needs cut. I'll send Mr. Jerome. Not to mention, Mr. Jerome said, hey, Shakima, will you have the carpet ready for next week? We're pulling up carpet in the house. He's going to take that away from me because I don't have any other way to do it. So Mr. Jerome is a godsend. He's a gift of God to me. Mr. Jerome is very married. Ain't nothing. Mr. Jerome is old. Ain't nothing happening with Mr. Jerome. But there are things I can't do manually, or he has a truck, and so he comes over and does little odd job things outside of the lawn if I need it for compensation. And he does a very good job. He knows, hey, she's going to pay me, so I need to do my best for her. So why would, if I have relationships like that in my life, my friend who comes over on Saturdays for Saturday suppers, every Saturday, we agreed when we started doing this almost 4 years ago, she would bring the chicken, my kids and I would do the sides, and that's how we would do it. We would just sit, we would eat, and we would fellowship, and we would have all the great times. When she comes to my house, every single time, she brings 2 chickens, a big bag of broccoli, and something else. And I'm like, you don't have to bring any of this stuff. And she says, I know I don't. But you invite me into your home. You've invited me into your family. This is the least I can do. So if those are the relationships that I have in my life, why would I even take anything less from anybody else? Do I desire a spouse? Absolutely. I don't just desire a man. I desire a spouse, somebody who is in sickness and health, good and bad, rich and poor, and all the stuff you say in between. Why would I give my time to somebody who doesn't even desire half that with me? Why? Yet we do it every single day in every single area of our lives. Every single area. Do we value us enough to not take that type of foolish behavior? Well, I do. I don't know how you value you, and I won't even begin to tell you how to put value on yourself. But what I will say about me, the Bible is very clear. It says, my latter days shall be greater than my former days. That's in every single area of my life. I'm over here working hard for my wage. This is my business. And what I was thinking about when I was going back and giving them a counter offer is, Shakima, what are you doing? And I was negotiating. I'm negotiating with you. I'm not saying that I'm not willing to make any movement here. I'll make some movement here. I'm flexible in my negotiation of what I consider time valued or time added, value added. But I'm not going to do that anymore. Well, and I know exactly what you're saying. She says a lot of that has to do with self-esteem. But here's the thing that I want to clearly tell people, and how I've had to learn how to deal my life. So many people don't see themselves as worthy or deserving or better. Here's what I've had to do. I've had to see myself through the eyes of Jesus. Jesus sees and finds me worthy. So if that is how he sees me, then I have to form my mind. I have to change my thinking. It says, let this mind be in you, which is also in Christ Jesus. I have to begin to start thinking of me, how he thinks of me. That means I don't have self-esteem. I have God esteem. I don't have self-confidence. I have God confidence. I'm telling you right now, every single room I walk into, heads turn, has nothing to do with Shakima. But I walk in that room knowing that God sent me to be here. And what I have to add is valuable to this delegation, to this conversation, to whatever else. I remember being I served as an executive assistant for 11 years outside of my regular job. It was in education, but it was a part of my professional association. The very first year that I served, I actually kind of stumbled into service because one of my really good friends who was doing the job before me, her grandmother passed away, and she actually had to leave the conference that we were at to go back and be with her family. And they asked me, would I step in to take over her job just for that meeting? I was not installed. I was not in the job yet. I had to be installed to take over for next year. And I was so afraid because somebody else said, well, what are you doing? And I was like, well, I'm taking minutes. She's like, well, did they ask you to do that? And I'm thinking, so now I'm crushed. I'm like, oh my God, I guess not. I guess not. Let me just not even try. And then it was like, No, we want you to do this job. And every time I would go into those places with big name, big wig people, I'm just the secretary. I'm nobody. I would pray. Now I'd be like, okay, God, I need you to go before me as I walk into this room. And I told y'all why I get noticed. I wear big earrings. I usually wear big bangles. And I clink everywhere I go, or I wear heels and you can hear my heels walking. By the 11th year, and even before that, people knew who I was. People didn't even ask for the big people anymore. They like, just ask Shakima. She knows all the things. Why? Because I made myself very valuable to the organization. I made myself valuable to the organization to the point that they needed me to run. Not because I was anybody, but because I wanted to add value to this organization that I was working for. Every single place, every single person that I am with, no matter if we're together for 5 minutes or 50 years, I pray that I add value to what you're doing, so much so that you value me in return. When I left, another one of my good friends was taking over my position, and he was very shy about it. As a gentleman, and he said, guess who they got to take over your job? Because it was a very serious job. It was important. Those people needed to be treated that way. And if that's how I'm going to treat you and value you, then I expect nothing less. I don't care what my skin color look like. I don't care what my gender looks like. I don't care what kind of hair color I got today. If I value you to that level, then I expect nothing less than the same added value. And that's how I live my life. And I was like, Lord, I ain't even turned over real good, and you giving me this lesson. He said, yeah, you got to go share that with people. Don't allow any, and I don't have to. And it's like sometimes we'll get attitudes with people when they don't value us where we should be valued. And my response back to them was, I appreciate your position. Please do consider us in the future for partnerships. The blessings. And that was the email. You don't have to clap back at people or jump back. You a nationally known brand. You could have gave me, this is a drop in the bucket. Who are you? No, you don't have to do any of that. You want to maintain a good working relationship, at least as far as the communication is concerned, because you want to keep the communication open. Yes, right. So when you have people that come to you and say, I don't feel, I think one of the last gentlemen that I was talking with, I don't think he felt like he could match me professionally or whatever the case was. I think he just didn't think he was in my league. We left that situation very well. You may not be, but I'm not valuing you that based on how much money you have, what kind of car you drive. None of that is important to me. Because if you don't have it now, surely when we get together, you're going to have it. Why? Because I have it. And all that I am and all that I have, give out unto you. Right? So I had to leave that communication open. They offered in the future. If that's what you want to do in the future, I'm here. And so they know now, hey, she wasn't bitter or grumpy or disgruntled about we didn't offer her the money. No, I'm not. But I'm not going to accept anything less than what I feel like I'm worth, because they wanted to give me the price I asked for, but they wanted to give me half of that in products. You can give me the products and what I asked for at the same time. How do I know that? Because I've worked with them before, and they were trying to offer me less than what they offered before for the same amount of work. They first asked me for 2 integrations, then they backed it down to 1 integration, then they counter offered with the 2 integrations at the less amount of money, and then I had to be smart enough to realize what they were doing. I was like, oh no, player. Because before, going back to the comment about the self-esteem, when I didn't know who I was, because you were throwing some scraps my way, I would have taken the scraps. And this is not about money. This has nothing to do with money. It actually has to do with relationships, right? But I'm giving you a life lesson so that you can think relationally. It's not about the money, but who you are. You can compensate this times 1,000,000 because you're a nationally known company that's out here doing extremely well. So don't come at me crazy if you paying somebody else $6,000, and that's not even what I was asking for, not in the least. And there are some jobs that I will do without compensation. But at this point of the game, because I am trying to get my family to a place where we're just beyond the scraps anymore. The Bible says he will prepare a table in the presence of my enemies. God sets a very good table. And if he sets a very good table, why would I sit at anybody else's table that's less than what he prepares? Well, I don't have as much as he have. But if you will allow him to use everything you have in your hands, he will multiply it to be exactly what he wants it to be. If you are a good steward over this little bit, remember, despise not the small things, then I'm going to make you Lord and ruler over the many things. And I believe that that principle works across the board. I'd recently given, I gave something the Lord told me to give, and then the enemy will bring stuff back to you. So, but this is the Lord trying to give you back that money that you gave away. No. God doesn't give me stuff with conditions. God never gives me conditions on my things. Let me clarify that. He does say, if you do this, then I will do this. There are conditions to the, right? If you do this, then I will do this on your behalf. But once you've done that, once you've done the things, and then he's coming with the, if you do this, and I'm going to give you this, he doesn't put a condition on the stuff he's giving after you have met the condition he asked for in the first place, right? That's the agreement. That's the contractual agreement. I agree to do this, then you agree and you keep your end of the deal. God always keeps his end of the deal. For those of us who have been with people who back out at the last minute, who change their mind at the last minute, who get you in it and then they forget. I remember going to get my hair done one time. I went to this lady. She was doing braids. She got me in the chair. She got me started, right? So half my hair, this much is braided. This much is not. Then she says, oh, I got to take this guy right here really quickly. I'm going to get back to you. She reeled me in. And I remember sitting in that shop for hours as she took customer after customer after customer. And I'm just still sitting there with a half a hair. That's not how God works. God doesn't get you in, start, and then put you to the side for somebody else. No, he finishes the entire job. He gets it all done. So why do we accept less from other people? That's not what we're doing. And if you've been doing that, then I encourage you at this point, this moment, to stop doing it. Well, Shakima, who are you? I may not be anybody, but I was somebody enough that you wanted to come over and send me, hey, we've been watching your videos and we see something over here and we think you should, we think we should work with you. Okay, then to you, I must be somebody. I'm not sitting over here thinking I'm anybody. I am the least of these in my own personal opinion. But what God puts on the inside of me and how he has me doing these reviews out here, I'm putting stuff out for you. I'm putting myself and my name on the line. And so if I'm putting myself and my name on the line, then you should value me enough. If I'm accepting you when nobody else will accept you, Mr. Sir, and I'm valuing you and what you bring to the table with your 4 kids, 7 kids, 3 baby mamas, if I'm valuing you at that level, I am not valuing anybody at that level. Hear me? But if that's what you're doing, I could. The Lord might say, let me take that off. God might tell me to do something, right? But if I'm valuing you wherever you are, can you not value me enough to give me the full of who you are? So I guess that's what I wanted to share this morning. God just kind of that thing, because it was almost like I was about to accept the lower deal. And God's like, you're not going to keep doing that, Shakima, not to yourself, not to you. If this didn't work out, it only means that something else is coming down the line. And I'm just trying to see what you're going to do. You either going to let me do better for you, or you're going to continue eating table scraps. I'm not eating scraps anymore. Not me, not Shakima. Why? Why is that, Shakima? Do you have anybody on the horizon? Is there a man? There is not. But I know that who God has for me, what he has for me as far as business and for my children and my home. I watched another YouTube video of a girl that I watched. When I first started watching this girl, she had like 1,000 subscribers. I was already up I had a lot more than that. I put her name out there. Yeah, y'all go. I'm not saying that's why she got big. Trust me, it's really not. But I endorsed her. Well, she is almost now close to 100,000 members. So she's about 50,000 more than I have. And her and her husband, she was putting out a video. They just bought land yesterday. Well, she put the video out yesterday. I'm sure they bought it before then. Her and her husband just bought land. And I looked at, and I just kind of sat in my chair, was watching the video, and I said, God, but I've been asking for land. What is going on? And he's like, Shakima, are you satisfied in your 0.33 acres, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, one car garage home? I said, God, my kid, this is better than anything my kids and I have ever had. We are thankful. We are content in this space. And he said, if you remain content, then you don't know what I have for you. He said, you want something here, and this is not your final destination. He said, I have something for you there. But if you get it here, you're going to be stuck here, because it's harder to get out of land than it is to get out of this 0.33 acres. He said, I don't have it for you here. I have it for you somewhere else, and it's not going to cost you anything. I'm already preparing a place that I'm going to take you. And that thing hit me. So I felt so rejoiceful for that girl and her family. Thank you, Lord, that she got that. I'm not comparing. I'm not thinking about what I don't have. God said, Shakima, are you happy with your 0.33 acres? I said, oh, Jesus. Why are you happy with your 0.33? Because somebody's still living in a 2-bedroom apartment with 4 kids like you was. So when I think of the goodness of Jesus and all that he has done for me, let me tell you something. God's been too good for me to accept table scraps any further. Never thought I could have gotten to this place. But here I am. Here I am in this place. And I am living my best life. Miss Carla, I'm sure not very far. I was in northern Indiana a couple of weeks ago. And I always think about people. I never put my itineraries out ahead of time. I always try to just, if I meet people while I'm out, great. But 2 more weeks before school's back here, 3 more weeks, actually. We're at the very end of August before our kids go back. But I go back to work next week. So let's see who gets any peace and quiet. But I wanted to share that small little life lesson the Lord was sharing with me. None of this is about money. None of this has to do with money. And I was thinking about it, though. Steve Harvey negotiates deals. I don't even know Steve Harvey, but he negotiates. You're not coming to him crazy. Everybody that is in some type of a business has the ability to negotiate. I honestly think that was the first deal that I have negotiated, that I've gone back to the table and I said, okay, well, this is what I'm offering. I'm going to counter your offer. And they didn't bite. And guess what? They don't have to. They don't have to. And my value has not diminished. My God esteem has not decreased. If they come back, they're going to come back at me right. They're going to be like, you know what? Let's not treat her crazy because she know what she's doing. Again, don't look at anything different. Don't look at my skin color. Don't look at my gender. Don't look at my hair color and say, oh, she don't know what she's doing. Because I've asked the Lord to give me a mind to understand how business works so that I am able to be beneficial to my family. So don't come over here crazy, right? Or you just showing up in you showing up every 4th day and we supposed to be talking? No, we're not talking. This conversation is over. We are done here, sir. You only trying to give me the bare minimum, but again, because you got side chicks, they get everything. Even in my true friendship, my girlfriend relationships, if you're not trying to be for me like I'm for you, perhaps this is not the big girl relationship that you need. And everybody is not able to reciprocate what you can do. And that's okay. At some point, you outgrow people, you outgrow places, you outgrow this give you, and receive nothing in returns. At some point, I've outgrown that. And it has no more place in my life. I have another friend on here. Her name is Sabrina. Sabrina says, surround yourself with grown women who doing grown women stuff, who gonna support you on that grown woman level. And if you can't support me on that grown woman level, then perhaps our time together has come to an end. And that is okay. It is okay to say we have just grown past where we were. I've grown past it. Maybe you haven't, but I have. And I need more from you. It is okay to communicate. I need more from this. I've never been in that position before where I was able to communicate. I need more from this. Until now. When I turned 45, that changed things for me. 2 years later at 47, I can tell you I need more from this than you're giving to me. And if you are unable at this time or any time to give me exactly what I need, then I am perfectly satisfied to allow you to move forward with the people who can accept the level that you have to give them. I do not. So, anywho, there it is, y'all. Wanted to share that little tidbit with y'all this morning. There is another word that the Lord is having me work on, and I'm going to share that probably more in a preacher situation, in a teaching situation. Always praying for an opportunity to go out and speak, that God would give me an opportunity to do that. And so I am going to continue to work on that word, but walk in God confidence today, not self-confidence, that you are valuable, that you are worthy, that he has something in someone and people and relationships and business deals and all of those types of things that are for your good and not for your harm or your detriment. Because when I think about it, if I divide the numbers up by 2 to 3 hours, it was a decent amount of money. I don't know anybody making that amount of money, but it wasn't the value for my time because I've worked with them before and they've paid me more. So why do I now devalue me just because you're a different person working on the account? I don't know. You could be the same person working on an account, just sending me an email from a different email address. You have to come at me with the same energy every single time. If not, pick the next person. There's plenty of people out here. Plenty of people out here. All righty, y'all. I love all y'all. Y'all stay blessed. Make it a great Friday and a happy weekend. I'm back to work next week, so some of these videos will start to decrease it'll decrease a little bit in regularity because I am going to be back to work. But again, I love y'all. I'm growing in God and he's helping me every day. I pray over my mind that I would know things and be able to do things and articulate it so that people would be able to understand. Y'all have the best day. Tell somebody you love them. Sit in front of your yard and wave. I think the kids and I are going to have a wave session. We're just going to sit in our yard and wave at people. We love you guys and we'll see you next time. Bye now.